right. I built up the suspense, the drama of you. So what year was this that you were trying to hook up with Meghan Markle?
Well, I think I was asking her if she had any interest in promoting Suits. So there was that.
Okay, let's start with the game.
Yeah.
Let's start with the game because you weren't promoting Suits on your radio show at the game, were you?
No. Yeah, I got invited to play in the DirecTV flag football thing. You know, I was easily, I think, the least famous person that played in it, but ESPN usually would get somebody to play in the game because DirecTV would want someone on the air to talk about it. I think I asked for $5,000 and they said, "How about zero?" And because everybody was getting paid. And then they told me they'd get me tickets to their DirecTV concert for the Super Bowl party. And then when I went to get the tickets, they weren't even there for me. So they stiffed me on the tickets too. So it was bad. It was a bad run for your boy. But Van Pelt and I were doing the show.
Okay, first time you meet her though. So the first time you see her on the are you teammates on the beach?
We're teammates.
Okay.
Yep. Blue team.
Okay.
So there's Jesse Palmer was my quarterback and we're buddies. So that helped a little bit. And there was a million swimsuit models from Sports Illustrated. I think Chrissy Teigen was on one of the teams, Serena Williams, although I think she was smart as a world-class athlete to not run around on the sand and play flag football. So there was just all these models everywhere, and it was also a lot of the athletes, you know? So I was playing defense in the first half, which is a funny story because Joe Montana was our coach, and she was playing defense. So when we get subbed out, we were just kind of bored off to the side and we were just kind of talking about anything because nobody was talking to me. And, I don't know. She was very girl next door-ish. And then I went up to Joe Montana and was like, "Hey, is there any way?" Because you know how the radio show works. If I go back on Monday with Van Pelt and I don't have a catch, I'm going to get crushed for 3 hours. So I go to Montana, who I'd met luckily once before. So there was it wasn't out of nowhere, although he didn't love my request. I was like, "Is there any way I can get like one possession on offense and a couple balls thrown at me for the radio show?" And Montana turns to me and goes, "Well, we got LaDainian Tomlinson and Tony Gonzalez, two bleeping Hall of Famers, Ryan, but let's get you out there for a possession." So I finally go to Palmer. I go, "Just give me one route and throw me the ball." I make a catch. And then I'd come back and, we'd all high five. And then I ended up catching the game-winning touchdown, which I still feel bad about because I spiked the ball in front of Desmond Howard and he hasn't talked to me in like 10 years. And I don't blame him too, because he was like, I was a little bit too much. And then girls were coming up to high five me and I still was so locked in on the game-winning touchdown that I just started marching through everybody, couldn't be phased. So anyway, the game is over. Confetti rains down. And then she and I were waiting for our cars to bring us back because they had organized all of our transportation. And I was like, "Hey, great meeting you, whatever." And then we followed each other. And all I did was ask if she wanted to come on the show with Van Pelt and I to promote Suits. And she said no. And that's it. I've told this story a couple times. But the funniest part of this whole thing is that years later, how Piers Morgan went on this weird sharing episode of how he thought he was going to date her. Remember that? And he would talk about it. So because Carissa Thompson and Sarah Walsh, who we both worked with at ESPN and are really good friends, they knew the story. They thought it was hilarious that I asked her to come on the TV show or our TV show to promote hers. And she said no. That I ended up seeing these Piers Morgan tweets. And then I would just tweet above his "Hey, I know you don't believe me, but it does get better." And that was kind of the inside joke. And so I did it a third time a year ago where I was like, "I am here for you if you need anything, Pierce." And he never responded, nor would I expect him to. I get a text from a different coworker who is like, "I don't understand your problem here. I think you're fine." A real pick me up text. And I'm sitting at home and I'm by myself and I read this text and I go, "I can't believe Jeff Van Gundy just texted me about a pick me up." Trying to boost me up that it's okay that Markle didn't want to, and he didn't know the story. So he actually sort of Piers Morgan me, or I don't know how it works.
Did you think you had a shot though? You said you thought she was obtainable.
No, I think, well, that was a live show. So we were playing up to the crowd there a little bit. So there could be a semantics debate on that one. I felt because it was Hannah Davis and Nina Dobrev and Agdal, I think I lose track.
Yeah.
It was a 5-star recruiting class. And so because of that and the other athletes, like we were just off to the side a bunch, kind of being like, who are they? And so it was just, who knows? It could have been the start to our story. But I now think, armed with this much information, I'm not sure that I could have provided the life she needed.
Okay. If I gave you a mulligan, what would you have done differently?
Well, you could argue that a hair transplant, but I think hair is not a priority to her.
No, Harry's holding on for dear life.
Yeah. So I don't think it's that. I don't know what else I could do. I talked Joe Montana to putting me on offense. I caught the game-winning touchdown. Obviously the competitive, maybe I was too competitive.
Oh, I think you've been accused of that, and I could see you being locked in. I could see that. It was very important to you. You just didn't celebrate the way you're supposed to. It should have been, yeah, I've been here before. And then you walk up to her and you say, hey, how about we go celebrate together?
With that tone?
Yeah.
Note for note?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think that was going to happen. I think she lived in New York City too. So it was like it wasn't a huge
She actually left the country after this because of you, Ryan.
Wow, I didn't think it was going to go there.
She went to England to get away from you.
Honestly, there's probably somebody from USA Network listening to this right now being like, we would have loved to promote Suits.
Hey, it's made a comeback. It's like crazy. It's like, hey, have you seen Suits? I said, yeah, 10 years ago. Does anybody think that Ryan had a shot here? Let me go around the room here.
We just all say no.
Paulie's got his hand up.
I think, Ryan, you would have had a decent shot at that time. You're a confident guy, and I think you could have played it up in that moment and maybe gotten a dinner.
I really don't think so. I don't think so. I'm sure. I think at that point my name was on the show because that was always a tough one. You're like, what do? I host a radio show. Where? At ESPN. What's it called? The Scott Van Pelt Show.
Are you Scott Van Pelt? No. Why am I talking to you? Yes. Wow.
Can I get your drink?
Well, keep fighting the good fight. We're proud of you. You took a shot. Kind of.
Yeah, and look, I mean, I would say now the home base is a little bit better of a sell than, I have a 3-bedroom townhouse in West Hartford, but they mow. HOA does a good job with the lawn and the plowing and stuff. And, now we're situated out here in Manhattan Beach. Still 3-bedroom, but, no HOA.
You could have made her happy. She could have been behind you cooking breakfast right now.
Yeah, or, I'm not real married to roles. Maybe I would cook.
That'd be nice.
Yeah.
I'd be interviewing her. But I'm glad you got your name on your show, though. That
was big.
That was
big. And the touchdown.